Right on time. 11:30 a.m. on the East Coast, 8:30 on the West Coast. Good morning, Tara.
Good morning. Can you hear me? All right,
Yes,
we're
I hear you loud
connected
and
now.
clear. Yeah. Pleasure to speak with you this morning. I'm speaking with Tara Christie, CEO of Banyan Gold, BYN, on the TSX Venture. And the reason why I asked Tara to come on this morning is there was some news that came out recently, actually 2 days ago. Banyan announced the financing up to $14.3 million. And I just wanted to get some further color on the financing. So I guess we'll start with that, Tara, and then we can dig into it a little deeper. Why the financing? Why the pricing of it, the timing of it, the size of it? Why now?
Well, I think a whole bunch of things kind of came together, and I think you can see with the speed of how quickly it's being done, is that it's something that I really feel is going to be beneficial for Banyan. We've come to a pretty exciting stage. We spent a lot of a lot of time this winter, really refining what our plans are for Banyan and what the opportunity is, both from the engineering side, the geology side, and there's been this huge disconnect between the market and juniors, and certainly pricing of juniors. And, we planned a 5,000 meter program this year, really to demonstrate what we, think will really show that this is an exciting project. But honestly, the feedback I've had is that's not going to move the dial. Yes, gold prices are up. The only way to get attention for a junior of our scale is to do something meaningfully that moves the dial. So with my major shareholders, particularly those that participated in the financing back in 2022. And it became very, very clear that nobody wanted me to sit still and nobody wanted me to miss this opportunity in the market. But I had to do something a little bit outside the box to move things forward. And then an opportunity with very strong hands as a lead order, and my existing shareholders, particularly my large ones, participating, came along. And hence, and with this clear plan of how we're going to use those proceeds to add value. And, I'm a big shareholder, so I care about dilution. I care about doing what I say I'm going to do. So I think in a world where everything's not perfect and you're a CEO that has to make a decision based on all the factors, we decided to go ahead. And the fact that, we launched, a day ago, and books are closed and we're moving forward and closing on the 20th, shows you the strength of who's participating and the vision. And, I'm not in this for a couple cents. I've got a very big investment in Banyan personally, which it is an investment. I've put cash in with options purchase and participating in financing. So this has been done with a lot of forethought on how we're going to add value for Banyan and set us up. So I don't know if that's enough of an answer for you, Robert.
Yeah, take a deep breath.
Sorry,
I'll speak
I was,
for.
I just did school drop off, and there was a car accident, so I was almost late for this. So the road was all blocked up.
uh, and you were right on time. Yeah, so I don't think that standing still is a good option. It's almost never a good option. I mean, maybe there's certain circumstances where doing very, necessary kind of work and not doing all the other stuff is more appropriate. Um, but it's usually not a good option. And I don't think shareholders and investors like a company to do little and not have much, news flow. In fact, quite the opposite. Most investors want companies to generate lots of news flow and update their presentations on a monthly basis and do interviews and all that stuff and stay engaged. And when companies don't do that, it's generally not a good sign for the share price. It's not a good sign for the company, and shareholders lose interest, right? So I get that. What's the timing of how this financing came together? Like, when did you say, okay, I'm going to do this. I have to do this. This is the right thing to do. And when did you change your thinking about the size of the drill program? Because obviously in May you were signaling to the market it was going to be a smaller program. When did you say, what, we're going to do something quite substantial?
Well, I think we spent a lot of the winter doing some technical work, getting some advice of people that have seen projects like this before and who want to help us move it forward, and that are starting to get excited about the project. Like next week, I've got quite a large group of technical experts all converging on Banyan to take a look at it. Our drill program this year was focused on testing our geological hypothesis around where the mineable, starter pit, where the first portions of the deposit are. And so, what we're seeing is giving us confidence that we've actually unlocked what it is that we need. To understand, and we're continuing to do that. We've been very cautious in how we've put things together because money is precious. And you'll notice in the financing, most of the dollars are flow through, very little hard dollars. So this isn't go into G&A. This is going to go to make the project better and to advance it significantly. And I think we're on the cusp of something for Banyan. It's we've always been under the radar because people have thought, oh, we're too low grade, or what we really need is a strong PEA. And people can't forget we have a commitment to do a PEA by December 2025, and we could do a PEA today. And what a key thing is in that being a value driver, because a lot of PEAs haven't got good reception. There's a great lead up as you go to your PEA and share prices, and then the market's kind of baked it in because people can, or a lot of the sophisticated investors can do their own math long from metallurgy, from looking at grades before, say, the retail investor. So the PEA comes out, and then share prices often decline unless it has an exceptional economics to it. And so you can do an PEA. We could have one done after the engineering we've done now, pick what we think the project is best to be. But what I really want is a strong PEA. And this gets us there. This gets us what we need to drill. It gets us the engineering, the baseline, environmental work, the geotechnical that we need to get a very strong PEA. And I think a project that will change the minds of many people and surprise them for the preconceived ideas they have about Banyan and the deposit. And we've got this huge advantage of having our baseline data to be able to get into permitting quickly. And in this gold market, there's companies that are going to make it, and maybe gold prices will be sustained at higher levels for a long time. But those that are actually able to take advantage and get into production sooner will have greater value than ones that they're further out in the permitting regime. So we're really focused on how do we add value to all aspects of this and make it a very compelling investment and ultimately make money for our shareholders. And I'd love to see this project develop, whether I get to be at the helm or it goes to bigger hands from some of the corporates. I want it to be set up well that it actually benefits long term the community in the Yukon, and we've seen what Victoria Gold's done for that. And I think that it's a pretty exciting time, and you can't sit around and wait. You always, as a junior, have a declining balance, and yeah, we can add value, but people know you're going to have to finance at some point. So the nice thing about this is that a huge percentage of it is existing shareholders with some strong lead new shareholders in here, and that to me. And we're on sale in the market every day. The smaller shareholders who can't participate, you get lots of criticism. Oh, we're being diluted, and well, buy in the market. We're almost at the same price of the share as the financing, so there's lots of opportunity, and you can only that's when you invest in a junior. Hey, you have to know that, and I'm well aware that you need to raise money to advance projects. And yeah, we'd love to be doing it at higher prices. We'd love for the market to be appreciating juniors, but I really think what we've got now and the plan we have is going to get us there. And that's what we base the money on, with a little bit of spare money, so in case we have to plan and change the plan. And yeah, and we're ready to go. And we're able to bring on key people in our team, keep our team together, which gives you continuity. And bring on, and we're not in a rush now that we know the money's coming. We can plan for adding another drill, moving forward very quickly, but very systematically, and and we're very conscious about how we spend the money because we know how hard earned it is.
So who are these newer shareholders who are participating in this financing?
Well, there are people that understand the mining business and certainly they don't want to be named specifically,
You can't name them?
but certainly people that are going to be strong hands and have the vision of getting this all the way through permitting and production and into production. So those are the kind of people you want in,
Okay.
like some of my larger shareholders, Fidelity and Franklin, who were the main players in the financings in 2022. Remember that the largest contributor to the financing in 2022, in December, there were only 3 shareholders who participated in that, and 2 of them are participating in this one. The other one, the third one, was a relatively small shareholder. They are on side with the plan that we have and are participating almost pro rata for round numbers in the shares in this financing. So they've got a vision that those institutional funds, which typically come in as a company gets larger, really do understand the pattern and what you need to do to get projects move forward to really get that long-term value generation. And so, they've seen this lots of times. So I appreciate both their support and their thoughts on, I've talked to them about what our plans are and why we're raising this money, and having their support to move forward is really important, and is a vetting of that our plan actually makes sense.
So, Franklin is going to keep their 9.8 stake?
Yeah,
Okay. Final question about the financing. Did the tax law changes in Canada sort of force the timing of this, because there's a significant flow through portion of it?
absolutely. It wasn't the main driver. The quality of investors is the main driver, but that is going to have and it's a little bit unknown. The Canadian government only put out legislation this week on something that's supposed to take effect next week. So people haven't been really able to fully understand it. I think now that there is information on it, tax advisors are going to be giving people all kinds of advice, and we'll see interesting things in the market for all kinds of companies and real estate market and everything because of a pretty quick change by the Canadian government. It will change the deltas that you get on the charity flow through, so the premiums that you can get, and it will change how much people can invest or inflow through, because there are it's not only the capital gains rule, but it's the change to the alternative minimum tax, which will limit the amount of flow through. So some of our big investors, put in checks of 500,000, just as an example. And now, because of the changes in AMT, they may only be able to get $200,000 in flow through in total for a year, rather than the 500,000 or sometimes $1 million they might have been able to get the tax benefits from. So it is going to have an impact, and it's a little bit unknown. And from the charity side, so I also run a charity, and charities across Canada, I think, are going to be pretty upset because this mechanism of charity flow through, which gives you really good deltas, is going to really limit their cash flow. So I think we'll have to see what happens with this rule. But given, and they say when you're offered money, you should take it. I didn't want to create a new large shareholder that had control at this point. So there's a whole bunch of factors that go into the math. One is what you're going to use the money for, and the other part is where all your shareholders and what you need to raise. You need to raise to make sure the shareholders that want to maintain their pro rata can do that. So, the 0.3, I would have preferred a round number, but it comes to a point where you're like, let's just get this done. Particularly since we're closing in a week, that's a pretty aggressive timeline.
Okay, so I'm guessing, based upon what you had at year end 2023, that maybe you have 4 or 5 million as of June. So you raised 14.3, so that'll put you up around maybe close to 19 or a little bit less. So is that enough runway? Is that enough cash to get Banyan through the end of next year and to that maiden PEA? I mean, are you confident of that?
It is. You can always advance a project more if you have more money. Like that's the junior to
Hmm.
say that is enough money for now. That's why the hard dollar portion was very specifically limited, because we have a significant hard dollar treasury. And then it's what do we really need to do in terms of flow through. And you don't want to have too much flow through expenditure either, because you start paying a penalty on it after like after next February into March. The Canadian government doesn't let you hold that for too long. And of course, there's always the rules that you can't spend the flow through on G&A. And so you need to do that calculation, every CEO does, of what they need for hard dollars, we call them, which is your general and administrative expenses and marketing and things like that. All of that's in one bucket, and then what you spend on eligible exploration expenses is in your flow through bucket.
Okay, so let's talk about the use of proceeds, and you have the slide on the deck. It's slide 6 now, June 2024 financing, and drill program is now 20,000 meters PEA by end of 2025, and all the different baseline environmental studies and metallurgy and modeling, et cetera, et cetera. So the one that's really stuck out to me is on the left side. Goal of drilling 2 million ounces, 1 gram per ton average grade in the indicated category. Now that sounds fantastic to me if that can happen. How confident are you that that can happen, and how do you do it?
Well, that was one. We spent a lot of time sitting in a room with people smarter than us that have done this before, looking at the geology, really helping our team to understand what we have, using the engineering modeling. So that's also in an engineered pit, not just an inferred geological pit. That would actually be potentially mineable. We looked at what a strip ratio that would be reasonable, because once you've done the modeling, you can kind of reverse engineer what you need to make a project economic. And so yeah, I wouldn't set that goal if I didn't think it was realistic, or certainly tell anybody about it. You often have goals as a company that you hope to meet, that you just don't commit to the market that that's something you think is achievable, just in case you risk. And there's risk in even saying that now, but we think that what we see in the geology, the continuity, particularly in some of the areas of Powerline, really do demonstrate that's there. And we actually think there's a larger component, um, that potentially could have that grade as well that's mineable. But focus on one step at a time. What do we need to get to a PA that looks and is an exciting project? And so that's what we've done. And these first drill holes were exactly a test of, are we on track? And I think we're feeling pretty good about it. We'll get a bunch of people up on site, and one of the things we're very focused on this year is slow and steady. Make sure every drill hole we're looking at it, is it fitting with our model? We'll ramp up to do 2 drills here pretty quickly. We didn't want to rush. Got to test your hypotheses first, and make sure that what we're seeing from our modeling is agreeing with what we're seeing in the field. So we're going to be very systematic in how we do this. Same with our metallurgy. We've been very systematic, doing things in series, making sure you do one step, get the results, really think through what they are, get other people that have seen this before to comment on it, and then decide on the next step. So we're using a few different labs because different experts have different experiences, and that's really how you get that collaboration to find the best project and make sure you're doing the right test work. Everything's kind of coming together. We need to make sure we can finance getting the expertise that we need to help us. We've been really focused the last couple of years on just adding ounces, drill out ounces. We know we can continue to drill out ounces. We know what the secret sauce is for that. It's the next phase of turning this into a really exciting development project that we're going to get focused on here. We're still going to do 10% greenfield exploration. We've been doing some exciting geophysics. They do 3D modeling in your geophysics now, which you constrain with your geological model, and that will also help us in some of our targeting around Ormaque and Powerline to find higher grade. It's also, will be really interesting if it also aligns with what we see from the work we've done about the trends in the higher grade, both at Powerline and Airstrip. And we're still doing some work and modeling on Airstrip. It's kind of been our forgotten deposit, but certainly higher grade, and the trends that we hadn't follow up on. There were places where there were 80 meters of 1 gram that we didn't follow up on, um, um, simply because we thought it was more limited. But we've taken another look at it, and it's also a pretty exciting deposit. So we will be doing some work on that. We're doing the behind the scenes desktop work first, and then checking it. We'll wait till we get the 3D geophysics, and then make some more plans. And we still have our Nitra property. I think that's real exciting blue sky upside. We've got some additional well-known expertise helping us out there to kind of refine our targeting, and I think that's going to be exciting for the potential out there as well.
Okay. So are there 3 rigs on site right now, or do you still need to move another one into the property?
I think they took one back to be serviced. I think we have 2 there right now, but we have all the other associated gear. We want to make sure that it's ready to go. We're not constrained by time, but we want to drill effectively. It'd be easy for us to drill, and as it is now, we're planning to drill to the end of October. So getting the best crews in is important. The ones that, the crew we've got right now has amazing productivity. We just have one running right now. We're getting the second crew soon. So it's so easy to get to our site, and our drill contractor has drills available. So that's not a limiting factor for us. There's not a lot of other companies, as you know, that have big programs other than, of course, Snowline out there. So I think that's we can actually do things on our time, which means it'll be done to higher quality than if we're rushing.
Okay. And I noticed you did something a little unusual. I mean, I think Banyan may have done this in the past, but not super often. You posted a tweet with VG in that. So is that a sign that the first holes of this year's program are going well? Are you seeing what you want to see? And what can you tell us about the location of the holes that you've drilled so far?
Sure. Yeah, we've been focusing on where we think the starter pit area is in Powerline. We have hundreds of holes that have VG in them. These deposits are characterized by it. Snowline, us, Sitka, we all have VG in our samples, and it is something that people are interested in, and the photos are pretty exciting and show people kind of how the gold is hosted. So I don't read a huge amount into that. Lots of people post all kinds of stuff on social media, and it's not we've got 7 million ounces. It's not like some VG is particularly material. When we have, if you come to our site, we've got a binder of a good portion. It's no longer all of it because of all the VG that we've seen. That's interesting. So it's pretty common in these type of deposits. Now, if we get a big thick vein of it, or one of these veins is that, we probably wouldn't post because that would be unusual.
Right. Yeah, that would be extraordinary, right? So how many? So to drill out this 2 million ounce core at 1 gram, how many meters, how many holes are you expecting that's going to take here this year?
It's 16,000 meters, and I can't remember what the mouth average 200 meters. Probably some of them will be less because we're really drilling the specific lengths of holes. We've really narrowed down and modeled exactly all the holes. So that's at Powerline, and then we've reserved some for Airstrip, and then following up on what we find at Powerline. So they haven't all been decided, other than that first 16,000, and the rest, and of course even that will adapt with what we find in the field. Yeah, it's a really well thought out plan with specific drill holes and specific lengths of all of them. And we've been so busy with technical work and advancing it. And next week I think is going to be really important as well. With we've got a couple tours. We've got that YMA investment tour, some experts coming to site, and then we've also got a Aboriginal Day, which is very important to the community, and the First Nation has arranged some things for industry to participate in that. So it's going to be a busy week, and that kind of goes to why we brokered this rather than closed it ourselves. We've got a lot of things on the go. We've been very fortunate to get strong support from Paradigm in terms of research. Right from when we started, from Cormark and Paradigm, sorry. Cormark's the one who's brokering it. Paradigm's also covered us and provided really strong modeling of the potential economics, and I know they're all working hard on it. And of course, BMO's been inviting us to their conferences since we began. So if there's ever a time when you want to get support and also, make sure the market knows that you appreciate their participation. We're very savvy, so we've both uh, dealed on our president's list, which is a pretty large president's list for one of these financings. Capped our legal, a lot of the work that we need to do for due diligence in a brokered financing, you have to do anyway for a data room. So it's not like it's an unexpected cost. And if there's ever a time you want to bring in some expertise to help you, it's when you want to close a financing in a week using charity flow through so that you don't mess up things for the tax rules. So it's a logical thing to do. Ordinarily, when I have more time and my CFO has more time, we do the non-brokered. So I actually think this is the best move for our shareholders to make sure that the I's get dotted and the T's crossed in the time frame that we have.
Okay, I want to open up the floor to a question or maybe two from the audience. I think I got about 10 minutes here. So if you have a question for Tara, please ask to speak and I'll activate your mic. Um, are you participating in this financing?
Yes, I am.
Okay. There's a lot of questions, co.ca. A lot of people have different comments, Some people are grumpy, as is often the case in this sector, about, why hasn't she been buying in the open market? What do you say to them?
Well, I'm grumpy too because I think we're underappreciated. That the being grumpy isn't the solution. Being grumpy is should just harden my resolve to figure out how to get us, uh, our share price up. Yeah, I will buy in the open market, particularly if we stay at this price, and if I don't get my full allocation to maintain my percent. But often you have to remember as CEOs, if you have material information, you can't trade in the open market. We don't tell people when you're blacked out. I'm certainly blacked out. That's no secret during a financing. I can't buy in the market. No CEO can. So there are rules around, and it does limit depending on how rigid your trading policy is. And some companies are very rigid, but in order for us to trade, we need to actually tell that we're trading and get sign off. Even as the CEO, you make sure of that. That's just good governance and process. And then you have a limited time, and then you need to renew that. And of course, if you have material information, whether you've done that or not, you can't trade. So it is something that I think is important too. I think people can see I've got real cash in the game. Participating in the financing is one way to show that I have confidence in what we're doing. Yeah. What was the second part of the question, Robert? I forgot.
No, I was just seeing if anybody had a question for you from the audience, but so far there's not. I want to ask you a question more broadly about the territory of the Yukon and what's going on there this year. You said not many people have big drill programs, but Snowline has a massive one, and now you guys have a pretty good sized one. What are you hearing about the sale of coffee? And I mean, are you interested at all in coffee?
I think coffee is a great project as well. And I remember I worked on that for Kaminak with Ira when she was there, and then a little bit for Goldcorp when they took over. So I think it's an exciting project, and certainly having been in both Goldcorp and Newmont's hands, they've put a little bit of the stamp on it of a big company in terms of the project design and how it'll move forward. They've advanced it in the permitting world significantly. So I think it will be of interest to lots of people. It's probably out of reach for a Banyan right now because of just our market cap and I think our project. And I guess it gives me a little bit of a goal. Can I get our project advanced before it actually so that it gets built before coffee? The people when Kaminak was bought out, everybody thought it would be built before Victoria Gold. There were all the comments in the market, and look, Victoria Gold got built and coffee's still sitting here. So so this is a very complicated market. It'll really depend on how Newmont does that sale. Are they going to sell that as a one-off, or is somebody buying that as part of a package, and what their priority is on that project? So, I hear all kinds of interesting things. Are they true? Who knows? Unless you're actually some of those parties that are looking at it. But I think it'll be good for the Yukon for that to be in the hands of somebody that wants to move it forward. And Newmont's not planning to do something with it, so that's not good for the Yukon or the project. And as a CEO, I get lots of comments. I know you read the CEO.ca comments, and I get emails that probably say the same things. And there's people that are happy and not, and ultimately, my job is to figure out what the best path forward is for the company and all shareholders. And yeah, sometimes that means that individual shareholders aren't happy. Even with what the plan is, there are a few people, and some of them aren't shareholders, who say, don't worry about drilling out anything to indicated. Just get this to 10 million ounces isn't too big. Well. And even some shareholders have that view. So it's really hard when you're a CEO. You need to actually figure out what the plan is to add the most value.
No, I don't agree with that. The 10, yeah. So just like I'm going to throw in my 2 cents here, and then I'm going to give you the final word. The going to, like, not that my opinion matters much, but I'm a shareholder and I've been around here for a while, since you basically started in 2017. Um, and my opinion is drilling more ounces off in the inferred category is not the strategy. And actually, the market response, the share price in the last year is telling you that that's not it. That 7 million ounces is more than enough, and we can use our imagination, and maybe there is 10 million ounces there, but that's for another day. And anyway, those last 3 million ounces will be mined 20, 30, 40 years from now. That's not near-term value driver, right? Your plan now, the way I see slide 6, this is the way to do it. And this is the way to really turn the needle, as you said at the start of the conversation. And you want that high grade starter pit showing 2 million ounces. And that's the real value driver for the PEA and any potential acquirer, in my opinion. So I actually think that you have the right plan. You have a very good plan right now, and I'm quite happy with it. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the final word, Tara. Sort of what can investors expect from Banyan over the next several months? Let's say for the rest of the year, when we get the first results from the drill program, and anything else that you'd like to add.
Great. Well, thanks for doing my job there. The talking about the 10 million ounces was exactly where I was going to go with that. But what is the near term value driver? And we've spent a lot of time figuring that out. So I think we've figured we've got a really good plan. So, and it's going to have lots of news flow for our shareholders. On these first holes, we are not rushing to get the results out, because we are really looking at a lot of structural details before we ship while we still have the whole core. That's really important, I think, in us checking what we know about this deposit and showing, because one of our biggest, not complaints, but thing that people talk about is, what is the grade continuity? Are you sure? So we're taking our time on that. And when we're financed, now's the time to take our time, set ourselves up to be able to drill quickly. We could have a lot of drills on site, and come fall, and we can drill till late. We've drilled to December 20th. The most important thing is to execute the plan, make sure that things are going, pivot if something needs to be pivoted, and get good cost control in place as we ramp up for this. We're going to have lots of news flow from the fall. Sometimes summer's pretty quiet, but if you start putting out some great results, and people know you're financed, I think you can get attention. Remember, what was it, 2017 or 2018, where things like really peaked in the first couple weeks of August? It was, if you missed that, then you really did miss part of that upswing then. So I'm really trying to position us well to have news flow throughout the year. So now we'll have drill results, we'll have exploration results, because we are going to still do a little bit of exploration. We'll have met work, all leading up to that PEA in the end of 2025. We'll be able to, but also we can wait till a little bit later. And we'll decide that once we get the results from this year and we really figure out what the value add is for our shareholders. So we're going to be in a great position. And I think we've got enough money in the bank to really move the dial, finally, and a plan.
Great. I think that's a great place to leave the conversation. Thank you, Tara. Have a great weekend, and thanks everybody else for tuning in. I'll upload this to my YouTube channel, Goldfinger Capital, during the weekend.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Cheers.